This segment, we will be continuing our discussion on the Naira crisis that is still looming. We'd like to hear your updates and how you're coping. You can call us on the number 081-270-53687, 091-390-76948. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets. It's really biting hard on my side of town, especially my PA couldn't come to work today. Neither did my driver come to work today because both of them said they don't have cash. They don't have the new notes, and the bosses are refusing to accept the old notes. So they're unable. So I have to drive myself to work today, and I have to do a lot of work myself today. So we are all feeling it somehow. Even I was telling you, I saw Tokwe's mom in my kids' school today, and she gave my kids new 1,000 naira note. I grabbed it for her. Mommy, this is gold. You're giving these children 1,000 naira note. I know it's for my children. I said, no, please give it to me. Because the truth is that it's now so hard and scarce to get. People are not finding it funny. My help asked me for transportation money to work this morning because she goes to work. And I said, Auntie, me, I'm hoarding cash. I cannot be giving you money every day. We're going to start trekking to your office. But that's the reality. If we have it, we are hoarding it. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. What is your experience like, and how do you think you can manage? Because you have to do transfer. Have you had issues of transfers hanging where you have to wait long queues in the supermarket? You have to wait for them to confirm payment before you leave. It's biting everybody.
Everything that has happened and could have happened is happening to me. So no cash. And then I have not been able to make transfers. You know, there's a particular transfer I was supposed to have made to you. I have not been able to do that. I just finally had to use another, to make that transfer. And there are so many other pending transactions like that. There's one I did to someone, and the person says they have not received it. I got a debit alert, but the person has not received it. This was like 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
Till today. And I'm just wondering where we're going next. I went to the supermarket because there's another thing now that's happening where everybody's trying to stock up. So you go to the supermarket and the supermarket aisles are empty. Mostly empty. You just grab what you can grab, put in your pocket. It just reminds me of lockdown all over again. And then you get to the till, you try to pay with your cards. You have to try different types of cards to get it. And they also have on their walls, please note, we don't collect on 1,000 naira, 500, 200 notes. Even though the president said 200 naira notes you can collect, they said they will not collect it. All they want is new money throughout. Wow. So
some of these markets have to start eating their goods themselves because some of us we have to.
No, it's not even. This morning, my daughter asked me for cash so that she could go to the talk shop. I said, "I'm sorry, Auntie. Do they take transfer?" She says, "I don't. How would I do transfer?" I said, "I don't know." Exactly. Madam, no more talk shop for you until your president sorts it out.
Wow. It's really...
I went out yesterday to see my mom. Every week I go home and I usually do the bus, just so that my kids would experience it. We tried it last weekend and it worked and we did it again. And sadly, in my entire adult life, except there's a burial in Yanoba, the Olojo has to have died, or the Oniba has to have died for the market to be that empty. I have never seen Yanoba stores empty. The tables were turned over. The roads were free. It was like a public holiday. Something had to have. I was like, where are these women? And these people survive daily. Some of these women carry their families. Right. This cash issue pushed people to their houses yesterday. I wanted my kids to stop, find the safe place so I could do pictures, but the Imran jumping everywhere. I just had to quickly pass and go. And I had 200 naira notes, thankfully. We have old notes, so we're able to pay. But you see, the buses were not taking half a price. Yeah. Nobody is acting. The few buses that were on the road were, optimizing this opportunity. They were making enough money as they could. You see, the situation is not helping. Sadly, Yalaolu, they've been taking the old notes at the cold room, but she came back. All her, when they sell in debt. So when the people buying the fishes from her finish selling from the day's market sales, they then come and give her money. Yes. And everybody was saying, we only collect old notes, so take your old notes. And she said, they're not collecting at the cold room. So they were owing her, and she didn't have goods. So when I saw the situation, I said, okay, let me come in and see how we can find a way to deposit this money. What I read in the papers is that the banks were now receiving to a certain amount. So today, I've sent my assistant to go around banks to see if they can take the deposit or something. And I promised her that we'll now start to give her receipts, POS receipts to the cold room to carry goods. But if she comes back, how does she sell? Because now we are even also rationing light. So they give us light for 2 days, then we're in darkness for 1 day. How does this woman, a small-scale businesswoman, cope? These are people that I see every day.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, we didn't have eggs. The woman that sells eggs couldn't pay.
Because I can't.
The farm, they did a transfer for her. She had given the POS operator who had transferred, and the same person who transfers. But the banks now did their miracle and held that money. And the farm was saying, we did not see the alert. The woman kept saying, but they gave me receipt. The farm was saying, we didn't see alert, so we can't, and she doesn't have to travel all the way to Abara anymore. Yeah. So there's a car that goes in, picks up her order, and brings it back to my estate for her. She didn't have anything to sell. So she's dealing with all of that. We've not perfected these things. These are people that I relate with daily. I sit with them and I see how their businesses are suffering.
These are regular Nigerians.
My sister could not go to work this morning. She's a teacher. And she sent a message, I'm tired of this. All through the weekend, we kept begging.
Many people are having
I don't have cash, and the buses are not taking transfer. I cannot be doing transfer of 200 per journey.
Exactly.
I have to take 3-4 buses all the way to school. It's not working anymore. And they're starting exams this morning. She said, I'm just tired. I'm not going to struggle.
That's the reality. Let me
talk about this thing.
I was worried how my kids would cope without snacks this week. But thankfully, their school sent an email that they would be at home and do online. Yes. So I was grateful. At least they will eat food at home. Nobody's buying any snacks. Because I've run out of cash. I think I have just about 600 to 800 naira left. And I've been mising that amount of money. Like, I'm not dropping shishi for anybody. You know, just to have something in. Like, I feel sick. Maybe that's why I'm sick. I'm not used to not having cash in my purse. So I think that's why they have made me sick now. You know, so, but I went to the mall yesterday to get some things. And by the time I got there, everybody was carrying POS. You go to the sky.
Yes.
You go to the mountain just to be sure. And the queue, because everybody seems as if a lockdown, like she said, was just about to happen. Everybody was busy stocking up. I had to buy a few things, and hopefully my transaction went and I was able to leave the place. And I've warned them at home, see, whatever we have to manage. I don't know how long this is going to work. We don't have cash to go into the market to buy. This is the only place we know now they have. I may come back tomorrow and everybody has bought everything. We'll have to eat whatever we have. If it's rice and palm oil, till this situation goes down. It's just affecting everybody.
Yeah, and it's so painful. Like, even somebody you usually give a tip. I can't usually... Somebody
no tips anymore
I can't give tip. I mean, so the guy that helps me to drag my groceries to the store, I went to the grocery on Saturday, I bought quite a few things. And the parking lot is rather far from the supermarket. So he dragged and he pushed the cart all the way. Usually I give away this 200 naira.
Let's do 200.
My mom.
And I felt really bad.
My mom is...
I couldn't give anything.
No, she's at home, she doesn't go out. So she was like, Nima, I've been asking you for cash since yesterday. I was like, which cash?
Yes, cash.
She said, not even small money for me to be doing sadaka. I said, Mommy, if it's money for sadaka,
sadaka.
measure your food and give out. Since you need cash for sadaka, there's no cash.
Mom gave me 1,000 naira. I said, Mommy, this is good. Give me this 1,000 naira new note. Mommy, you have a new note like this. You know, but you know, what is even more worrying for me, and I think government needs to think about it. We're looking forward to elections on Saturday. Those people who are going to man the polls, how are they going to get to the polling units? We don't want stories. We don't have new notes, so bus driver cannot collecting old notes. These are realities. They can't take cash. Somebody must be able to give them money. INEC officials.
No, but INEC, I took the story last week. INEC officials, the FCT said it, and they said it's not just an FCT issue, it's everywhere. They have ad hoc staff that they pay 5,000 naira daily.
Okay.
They said, how are they going to do it? They're supposed to give them money to feed. They said, how much of that money are they going to go and give a POS operator who will give them less because they have to pay charges, and then they'll use that money for food and other logistics. So these are real issues, and it would affect our elections.
Because when you're polling, when the INEC official comes late already, people are already getting apprehensive. What's going on? Are they going to go and do something at the back? You know, people need to get there on time, because you don't want to starting anything where people start charging at each other. We don't want that. So it's little things like this. They can't get to work. They can't get the materials on time. They need somebody to monitor. The person who's monitoring has not come, so they can't start the vote. You know,
but issues. You know, 2 weeks ago, I took in the papers where INEC said they had meetings with the CBN, and the CBN governor had promised them that they would get them sorted. They had meetings with NURTW, and they had promised them that they would get all the modalities in store for them. I think they also had a meeting with
Logistics.
them. Yes, for the fuel, NMPC, and all of that. And they promised that they make everything they need ready. So they should not. They are the ones trying to help us get this election right. They should not give us their own excuses. Let the common man still find a way to sort out themselves. Okay. But INEC should not accept they are saying there won't be any elections.
Let me take this call from Bob. Alaji Babajide, good morning. Are you there?
Yes, Alaji Babatunde, I'm here.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
All right. Yeah, thank you very much. My little contribution. Let me first of all say good morning, my dear sister.
Good morning, sir.
My little contribution is that the essence of government is to see people, to see people's welfare, to have a good life. What we are now is that of, and I'm surprised that that can. I just don't pray. I don't pray that I witness this. I'm surprised that this happens. And people even seem to put are up there. You know, it's terrible. It's terrible. And
you know, we're waiting for the Supreme Court's judgment. Is it 22nd? That's on Wednesday, I believe. Yeah. And I don't know if whatever the Supreme Court says, if this federal government that has consistently disobeyed Supreme Court's order would adhere to whatever it is the Supreme Court says on Wednesday, whatever it is.
What really causes this hardship is not that, they want old money and new money back. It's the withdrawal limits. So, CBN, let us know why there's this withdrawal limit in the first place. Is it just to curb corruption, or you just want to, end businesses? Because what exactly is the cash withdrawal limit? Or you did not have enough new cash.
That one is basic now.
That one is clear. But when we say, they'll say, no, the bank have sufficient notes. Then they will send one staff, go and do videos of the votes. But the truth is, why is there a cash withdrawal limit? Businesses are shutting down. If you go to a farm, I tried to buy a wedu at the farm by Lasu Gate with my kids, just to give them the experience. And we were negotiating. A full bed was 1,000 naira. And I checked the change that is in my hand. I entered bus and left. My son was like, Mommy, you did not buy it again. I said, look at this one. If we buy it, what should I do?
You will trek home.
And there's cash issue for people. You are going in the buses are loading. They carried somebody's farm products in one of the buses, and the conductor was saying everything plus you and your load is 1,000 naira. So you go do the ugu, the vegetables that she bought from the farms. So really, what are we pushing for?
Even the ordinary plantain chips over the track. You can't, those guys are hawking on the roads. You can't, you just drive past them.
No, you can transfer to them.
Yesterday.
On the plantain chips guys.
Traffic.
Because I didn't have cash and I could not do transfer. And I'm not calling out any tribe. The Northern Hausa boys were kind to let me go with the things I bought. But the Yoruba woman that was selling the eggs and plantain say, Nana. She knows me, oh. She knows me. She said, that's how they have been coming and be telling me that they will transfer. It's not transferring. These ones, they said, that's it. So, I'm not calling anybody. I'm just saying.
But me, I can corroborate her story because my own guy that sells me tomatoes and everything, when the thing was not going, he said, Madam, just go, don't worry, I know you. He's a Hausa guy. He said, Madam, just go, I know you.
We buy Gary every Sunday. She did the same thing to every of the account. The account was in Ijebu. They were confirming alert from there. She now did not make calls after a while. All these people are people I know. Did you know that some of the accounts
did not go?
3 weeks now.
So she won't give again. People
want to
don't blame her. I'm just saying
that's what I expect. Let's go on a quick break. I mean, this is not as funny as it would make. I mean, it's just really painful.
We're just trying to laugh out of it.
Because a lot of poor people can't get around. We can at least still find a way to manage, but people can't get around to work. And that's a problem. People's experiences this last weekend, especially going on about the Naira crunch. Tell us your experience. We'd like to hear from you. We're going to share a few tweets. Call us on the numbers on your screen, 091-390-76948, also 081-270-53687. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag your view TVC so we can read your tweets. Do you have any comments so far from people?
Yeah, Omotayo of Ekiti says, this is my story, the way the person started. I needed cash last week to make some moves last week. I went to approach my provision customer beside my house, an old woman, to help me out. Behold, this woman gave me 5,000 naira cash. I transferred the amount to her. To my surprise, I've been debited and she's yet to be credited. There are more. These and more are what Nigerians are facing every minute. May God help us. Nigeria will be great. Good morning. Amen. Positive note. And then this person says, good morning to you all. This is Bolaji Abraham. Talking about eggs, it goes between 1,200 to 1,500 in Jos, from 2,300, simply because people can't access cash to buy eggs. Farmers are really crying. Hashtag farmers in pain.
So I bought vitamin C dispersible for my baby, for Miriam's baby on Friday. It was 2,500 at Pharmacy Express or Express Pharmacy here in Ketu. And they only used the card once. But I was debited twice, 2,500 twice. The debit is still there in my account. I tried to call my Orange Bank again. Their customer care was not available because it was past working hours.
And this is your Orange Bank.
Now them all the time. And my body and spirit worrying me. And the pharmacy gave me only one receipt, and they insisted they only debited my card once. How will one resolve that one now? If it wasn't 2.5, you know, sir, for don't crazy. If you go get another zero behind the ending or another zero or 2 zeros after it, it's not this one. We'll be fighting at the pharmacy.
You know, there's a tweet here from Dr. Joab. It says, I hope the CBN addresses the lack of cash in circulation speedily. Traveling in Nigeria in the last few days, you realize how much the constraints of our culture of tipping, airport cleaners, porters, people who check into hotels, waiters, these are things that they rely on to survive in addition to their salary. But now, it's so difficult. How many people can you transfer to between when you arrive at the airport up until when you get to the hotel? It doesn't make any sense.
Uchechi Ejiogu says cash will be in circulation after elections. Truth is Truth says they just want us to experience and practicalize trade by barter that we read in economics. Yes. Bring yam and I will give you Gary.
Well, we don't need there.
Yes.
We're going there already. So
I need. Then Mr. Nye says withdrawal limit is to control the volume of cash in circulation, which is one of their original intention, also to prevent hoarding and discourage black market. If not, only one POS operator can mop up all the amount in circulation.
Some people, especially outside the cities, who don't have, they're not banked. Taking their wives or loved ones to the hospitals is causing problems. Yeah. So here we can get to the hospital and transfer. But somebody who is not banked, living somewhere, some far place, in a remote area, is finding it difficult to pay for hospital bills or buy drugs for their children. These are real issues. And then they're likely not to come out and vote. Because if I was in that area, I'm having problems paying my medication for my children. You have to come and line up and vote. Vote for what? I won't even come out of my house. I'll be too upset. So you might have experienced voter apathy on weekend just because of this. Right. Serious voter apathy.
No, there was gist. I don't know how to confirm it, that somebody had over 5 million new notes at a popular market around Apapa.
That's gist now.
Wait, and he was exchanging for 100,000, 20,000. And people were collecting money. How one person moved with that kind of money to the popular market?
Because you can't confirm it. Let's
confirm. I'm just saying. So imagine if somebody were to have that amount of money at an election point, with the level of frustration that people are feeling now, they go sell votes.
Yeah, they will.
They go sell votes. What you want to avoid,
to sell votes.
Come and eventually.
I'll do anything to buy that money. So obviously,
buy money. I mean, they should just even give you 1,000. Say, oh yeah, come. PVC, go and vote.
Yes.
Nigerians will do it.
So is it possible that there's people that there's people that have access to CBN right now, that they'll get that money out and they'll start selling the money and be selling to buy votes on that day?
Was that not what they were dealing with? And rather than investigate that, they caught one woman that had money at a wedding and she's in jail now. That's only the example that we have. The cartel that they talked about, the syndicate that they talked about, only one poor celebrity was the example, the scapegoat they used. We've not caught anybody else. So if somebody can access the money, what do they talk? It will happen. The dignity of Nigerians right now is so low. Any Nigerian it will be viable at the end of it.
Let me take this call from Joshua. He's calling from Nasarawa. Good morning, Joshua.
It's actually Jacob.
Oh, Jacob, I do apologize. Good morning, Jacob.
Yeah.
How is Nasarawa concerning this Naira crunch?
Nasarawa is not doing too bad. The Naira crunch, we're feeling it. So, but I don't believe that we need to talk to our politicians. Because the whole money that CBN printed, where has it gone to? And I keep telling a lot of people, let's watch. After the election, the money will be available. Because
How do you know,
politicians
sir?
are the ones holding the money. Hello?
How do you know this, sir? You said after the elections, money will be available. How do you know?
Because if you have been in the system, you understand that our politicians, when they go for visits to campaign, they always share money. But because the money now, the old note, is not more acceptable, and they need money to buy votes, so they sketch the money. So I can assure you that by Friday, Saturday, we'll start seeing the money.
Wow.
So for me, I think we need to just clear, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think CBN is saying money is missing. CBN is saying we've printed a limited amount of money and we're going to give you a limited amount per day if you go to the ATM. So for me, it's not that the CBN is saying we have sent you out this amount of money and we cannot find this money. You people have taken the money away. They're saying we have reduced by a huge percentage the amount of money that is in circulation. So that money that you're saying that will come out, except if CBN is saying we're going to print more money after the election. That's how I see it. So the scarcity of funds is because CBN is saying that we don't want people using cash as much.
But the one that, let me go by what he just said now. The one that was printed was quickly finished because some people carried them.
According to him.
According to him.
And that's what I'm saying.
So
it doesn't...
after the elections, those people that carried the money will begin to, in fact, from the elections, they will begin to release it. So
but is that what CBN saying that the money that they have printed is missing?
No, that's not what CBN said. I'm going by his analogy, saying that money will drop at the end of the election.
But even money now drops. What we're saying is that CBN actually has produced less than 400 billion.
Yes.
Less than. And they've knocked up 2.7 trillion. So whether we like it or not,
you will not see.
It will still not see. It won't be enough.
It won't be as bad as this. What he's saying now that the money is being hoarded by people who already have it, waiting for the election.
Let me take this call from Austria. I'll come to you, Nima. Mr. Collins from Austria, thanks for calling. You're live.
Hello, hi.
Hello.
Good morning.
Morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you, my sister?
Fine.
Over there.
Thank you.
You guys did a great job.
Go ahead, sir.
I just want to contribute in this money crunch in Nigeria. Everybody knows why the money is being circulated. But I have to advise you guys who are in this room right now.
It's quite muffled, Mr. Collins. Dr. Collins, I couldn't hear you properly. I do apologize. Do you have any more comments on social media?
I wanted to say that both analogies are correct. So initially, there was a Naira swap and there was money. But they limited what we could withdraw. So some people had gotten 100, some people had gotten millions from their accounts off the counter immediately before the CBN now issued. Maybe they just realized then that we do not have enough. We have limited copies of
let's stop. Let's reduce.
Limits withdrawals daily. So they started the withdrawal limits daily. There was a back and forth before it took effect with the House of Reps summons and the Senate summons. Nigerians were quickly helping themselves. Some Nigerians, we were thinking nobody will bring us. Nobody could foresee this hardship. So we didn't act. And now we're here. So some people, of course, have Nairas.
Some people have Naira.
Some people have
new notes. Some people have new notes. They are not releasing now. So after the elections, hopefully, it may still, of course, it's still CBN problem.
Because now
but the Nigerians who have taken, their money. So when the money came out, we saw these notes now. I had the notes. I just spent my own loud now because I felt...
You had new notes.
Of course, yes, now, when it came, I had new notes. Before the saga of limit it, don't, do you understand? Because normally I get notes from the bank and I spend them. So I was busy spending my normal spend, go to the shop, buy my fuel, buy this, buy that. If I had an idea that I would be stranded like this, I wouldn't have spent the money.
Let me take this call.
So Nigerians had new notes.
Dr. Good morning, are you there? You're live.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. It is unfortunate that we have a central bank that behaves like a Idi Amin of Uganda, former Idi Amin of Uganda. This policy is shown to every Nigerian citizen that it's a free policy. Because I think policy is made for human beings. I'm talking about Nigerian citizens here, not human beings made for the policy. If you made a policy that is not working, what is difficult for both him as a central bank governor and our Mr. President to receive
restrict back their steps and change the policy. You are not saying it's all because of the election. There are no problem. Election will come and go. We are going to see what you and then if their plan, so-called plan, we all know their plan, we all know their target. Because if not, when Mr. President is not coming out yesterday, releasing another press release, it is unusual. How long, Mr. President, when last did Mr. President address the nation? Now he's not addressing the nation, telling us that it's belonging to APC, they should do that. Even whether they like it or not, what would be. The president that's going to win the election will win it. And then come next week, this coming week, we are going to know who's going to win the election. We know their plan, and then as by the grace God Almighty Allah, the plan we have that we support the candidates of Ashad Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I'm not campaigning here. Is going to come and go, and then we'll know what they have to tell us.
Thank you very much, Yakub. We're still discussing this matter Nigerians are facing, especially because the elections are a few days, and people are still complaining that they are unable to feed, pay for basic resources. What are your thoughts on this? We're still expecting your calls. Call us on the numbers on your screen, 081-270-53687, 091-3907-6948. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets. We found that a lot of our conversations here actually do get to government, because remember the other day we had the conversation where we were saying that if regular folks that want to change their money up to 500,000 naira at least, allow them to go and change their money. The big guys, this that we put was our guest came. But the next or 2 days after, CBN now said 500,000 naira, you can now go. And I'm thinking, somebody's listening to. So please call in. Let them know, because maybe emefiele has people listening to our show. At least they will have an idea what to do. Between now and next week, we still need to be able to swap our money or pay in our money up to 500,000 naira.
I had someone who went to the bank on Friday to try to deposit at least 500,000. Went to the central bank office in Lagos at Tinubu Square, and he couldn't get in. The crowd was massive.
Yeah, of course.
Then emefiele came.
He came to Lagos?
To Lagos. They said that the mopo that surrounded him, he reached barracks. A full barracks surround them. Come. They know that there will be tension. You can make life easy. Is this thing supposed to be punitive of our people?
To punish also.
If you do, when we were doing the SIM swap, there was a formal whatever and an extension to ease out for Nigerians. Then the rest diaspora were able to come in. I have a client in Canada now with 500,000 naira, 500 naira note that she had taken back, because when she came at one point, she couldn't get money at the airport. So she said, okay, let me just take this amount of my country so that when I come home, she is hanging there with the money.
500K.
We are here, no solution. So if it is not punitive and the central bank is on this, are you governing yourself or you're governing the people? You're looking at the businesses shutting down gradually. My connects in K2, they've not opened shops since on Wednesday last week because they cannot deal. So
let me take this call.
What are you going to do to review, to ameliorate? Banks are also not helping out. The CBN was not a point for deposit at all. That one failed, straight up. So now that you're saying some designated banks already are protecting
my main
themselves.
worry, you have allowed 200, 150. Make those notes available. We can't go do public transport. Make 200. Let me take the call. Mr. Yemi from Ogun State. Good morning. Are you there?
I'm here. Good morning.
Thanks for calling. You're live.
All right. I would like to mention that this government is so disconnected from the common man. You see, since they were trying to stop election buying, on that day, with the current level of hardship, people will offer to sell their votes. So it wouldn't be a case of the parties buying votes. It would be the case of the people selling their votes. Because an average Nigerian is low on cash. There's no food at home. They are suffering. This is what happens when a government is disconnected from the masses. Thank you.
Sounds interesting. She says that people will actually sell. So, for example, if I want to vote for Mr. Johnson's party now, and Mrs. John is like, no, come and vote for my party. I'll say, you know what, if you can give me this cash, me, I'll give you my vote. Don't worry. So it's the highest bidder.
They will even say, follow me and see me press it.
Yes.
Follow me, Abi.
So what you wanted to solve or avoid, you have now gradually pushed us into it because of lack of proper planning and also wickedness. This is simple wickedness.
Yeah.
It's simple mathematics. And I don't know anywhere in the world where they force people to bank their money. I've never heard it. You don't force people to bank them. You appeal to people to become banked. You don't force them. I can choose to make my money and be carrying it under my bed and be putting my money under, dig a hole in my house and put my money under. It's my money. I worked for that money. I do business with my money. If you want to convince me to go under your institution as a bank to keep the money, then you will beg me. You will appeal to me. You will talk to me. You will make me understand the need and the benefits for me. You are making it seem as if I committed a crime by choosing to keep my own money, the money that I've worked hard for. I've never heard in any country where they did this. So I've never heard it. So whatever we're trying to avoid, we have ended up pushing our people towards that vote buying. And it will happen if cash is not released as soon as possible. We just have a few days to go.
Let me take Shola from Ikorodu. Come to you, Mariam. Good morning, Shola. You're live.
Yeah, good morning, Murayo.
Morning.
Good morning, everyone in the studio. Yeah, you see, I called the other time when you were not around, Murayo. It was Viajuru that was anchoring the program that very much. So I was making a statement. I couldn't finish my statement. The line went off. You see, like I said earlier, that's very good. I said this policy is a very fantastic policy. But the implementation timing is very, very, very wrong and very bad. To say this, you see, the election aspect of it is very little from the benefit we are going to get from the policy. But I tell you, it is a calculated timing towards this election to work against a particular candidate. But when I was talking that day, the last man, Mr. Yakub, that called, thought maybe I am partisan or I'm against a particular candidate. I want to say here boldly this morning that I am 1 million times satisfied, and I am a supporter of Buhari, but I did not support this policy. Shall you understand? One thing I know is that whether no money or no money, or whether there is a fuel or not, come 25th or after 25th of this month, I am a Christian to the core. Before whom I stand, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed will be emerged the president of this country, whether they like it or not. The worst part of it is that Buhari is surrounded by his own enemy and the enemy of his party, and he's not thinking about it. Go and write it down. Some people are there working against the candidate.
Thank you, Mr. Shola. Yes, Mariam, go something.
Yeah, so he was sort of talking along the lines that, I was thinking, which is we've heard many people say, oh, the only people who are complaining about this policy are people who are affiliated with a certain party or supporting a certain political person, and I don't think that's true, because every time I go online or in real life, these are people from different parts of Nigeria complaining about the same thing. They are being affected, different parts across Nigeria. Everyone is affected by how this policy is being implemented. So this is not about politics. Let's not politicize the sufferings of Nigerians. Let us just be, as much as we blame our government for being in a bubble and not being aware of what people are going through, also as Nigerians, let us be truthful to each other. You can, whatever party you support, whoever it is that you support, when you go to the market, are you able to buy things? The the farmers in your community, are their food just laying in the farms, they are unable to sell it because there's no cash and transfers are not working. The problems of Nigerians, I want Nigerians to always look at it this way. It affects us all. And if one Nigerian is affected by something and you're not yet affected by it, don't think that you are protected. It will get to you eventually if you don't do something quickly, to make sure that this is resolved. Yeah. I also want to end this with a tweet from Latifa Jimoh, who says, Nigerians need to wake up. If everyone in Nigeria begins to spend and receive old Naira notes, then the federal government will know the meaning of government by the people and for the people. Good morning, ladies.
That's what Kaduna State is doing. It's like, listen, as long as the money is circulating amongst us here, let us feed
fine.
ourselves. It's old money.
It makes sense. You said government does not understand. They don't know that it's government for the people.
Yeah.
You are doing this for the people. And if whatever the people are saying that this is not working for us, what are you doing?
Let me take this call from Chris. Good morning, Chris. Are you there?
For sinners.
All right. How are you, ma'am?
Very well. Thanks, God.
Okay, please. There's no government policy as a walk in the park that will make everybody happy. That is one thing we have to understand. Now, you people are talking about vote buying. Vote buying will not happen because the government has deliberately withhold the amount of money they will put in. Because if you put that money in the system, the governors and the politicians will still mop up those money. Some of these candidates or these politicians have banks and they are in control of banks. Malam Nasser El-Rufai in his
Yes, I couldn't hear him.
So I like what he said.
Okay, wait, he's still there. Hello, Chris. You're fading in and out. Okay, so some of our candidates have banks.
Yes, he says he wanted to say, okay, if Malam Nasser El-Rufai truly has a bank, does he have the same problem we have? Divorce money, who will now have it? He doesn't have the problem we have. When they speak for us, let's know every individual who has been forced to beg for money in the past few weeks, who can actually work and earn their own money and they have it somewhere, but they can't access it, are saying, and they are forced to beg, please, can you give me 1,000? Help me bring 200 naira. Do you have to pay for something? Those are the people that he's speaking for. If you say he's covered, he has the money, does it mean that if he wants to buy an election, he's in need of the money right now? But we are in need of it every single day. Every single day. We are in need of it right now. And he's speaking for those of us who are suffering it. He doesn't have to talk, but he's talking for his people. Why are we missing the point here?
What kind of representatives do we want?
Always forget, because when we live in Lagos, we live in Abuja, we live in Port Harcourt, we feel that, okay, we can manage. But there are some towns, areas where people are actually really suffering. I saw a video of a woman crying. She didn't have cash on her. And she was just saying all she wanted to do was she had to go to town. She had been to town back and forth. They couldn't give her cash. The queue was too long. She had to go back to pick up her children in school. And gone when the kids were home, get somebody to stay with them, go back again, travel again to go and see if she can get money. She still didn't get money. And she was having to walk these trips because she didn't have cash. These are real sufferings that people are going through.
Nigerians were so disconnected from each other. That's why you would hear that farmers have produce on their farms and it's just going to waste. And it's not choking you in your body. Because you don't understand how it works, how it goes from farm to eventually your homes. How this means, when we talked about insecurity and how it was affecting farming and food supply, and now we're adding this to it, when we thought we're sort of gradually getting out of that, now we've gone back to it with this cash policy.
Now, President speaks to us whenever he travels out of the country. Yeah, now he's in a...
Speaking again.
Has he spoken?
Rolake says, I now skip meals because I kept my money in the bank by relying on a government that's made life unbearable for my family. No public transporter will collect transfer. I am mentally disconnected from work because I'm thinking of how to survive this week. God will judge them.
So, let me take Johnson. I'll come to you, Tony. Johnson has been holding for a minute. Good morning, Johnson. Are you there? Johnson? Yeah.
Good morning, Murayo and crew.
Morning.
Hello, Murayo.
We can hear you. Go ahead. You're live.
Good morning, Murayo. Yeah, one of your guys said that it is not political. Why is it not political at this time? It is pure political. I watched you here when your TV was being attacked during the S riot, when the South riot. I felt pity for you. It's only your station that was attacked. Thinking Tinubu attacked to your station. Can see other TVs against Bola Ahmed Tinubu on everything. This is political. Nobody should tell us it's not political. We're monitoring everything in abroad, and I've been here for over 25 years. Yes, and I visit Nigeria every time. I'm a citizen of this country, both dual citizenship. We need to come together. The station needs to help us more. We appreciate what TVC is doing, not the other stations. They have been biased. It's only TVC stations and some few that are back on this thing. The people are really suffering out there. I send money to my family every time. They can't get the money. It can't be used. For what? People are really suffering. We need to come out and make sure.
Thank you very much, Mr. Johnson. Let me explain what we're talking about. So the political part of it is that everybody is affected. So, for example, I'm in party A, B, C, and D. All of us have to send out party agents. All of them have to go and monitor and stand by the polling to make sure there's no mishap happening within the polling units. All of us have to go across the state and ensure that our regional managers are able to ensure that everybody is fully equipped with logistics revenue and logistics money to get around. These are realities that every single party is going through. So that's why it's not saying it's political. We get, I'm almost done. The political part, we get it because people have said it's targeted at a certain person. Absolutely. But in addition to that, it affects everybody else also. That's what she's trying to say, yes.
So I wanted to say that this has even, if the target, originally they said they were spraying it at parties. Have you seen what is happening now at parties? If you're organizing a party now, because you know,
fake notes
in the Southwest, they are innovative people.
Yes.
They prefer printing in the colors, the varying denominations. Yes. So they'll put the pictures of the party, the celebrants and co. And so you just transfer for the equivalent. So the spraying is a culture. They continue their culture of spraying. Which I like. So they've created innovation. And also I wanted to add the part of Nigerians. Let's start helping ourselves. One of the things that has bailed me out is my communal environment where I live in. What I don't have, I'll go and pick from my neighbor's house. What my neighbor don't have, I will bring. So please, let's help ourselves. We can be hungry, but it can't be that bad. If we share, if we go around, eventually everybody will be covered. Okay,
let's go on a break. We tried to get in our guests at 10 o'clock, but unfortunately, he couldn't come in because we really need somebody to give us some kind of another perspective on this conversation, but we can't seem to reach our guests.
Yes. Places where they collect 1K is traded for 500. I couldn't go to the hospital today as I have no money for transportation.
K-Boss says, this morning there's protesting going on at Shagamu now. The idea is very bad. He says, we are suffering because someone had a brainwave. This is how to stop vote buying. All the people I know who support this are doing so because they think it will stop vote buying. This is political.
Nam says King Charles is replacing the Queen on the pound sterling, and we can't feel it. This unnecessary punishment from emefiele and the cabals in Buhari's cabinet on the people is unnecessary.
Okay, Oduwole says, I am traveling to Shagam. I did a transfer to the owner of the car. Instead of 1,000, I did 1,100. That 100 is for charges. It's getting harder.
All right, let me take, I'm told our guest is back. Let me just get Honorable Tunde Olatunji. Good morning, sir. Are you there?
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It's good to be with you.
Right, so could you give us your perspective concerning this scarcity? We've heard various views. We're waiting for a Supreme Court judgment on Wednesday. The president has spoken and said that 200 Naira should be back in circulation. But people are finding it difficult to even withdraw. What are your own thoughts on this as a finance expert and also the lawmaker in Osun State? What are your thoughts on this?
Well, thank you very much. Every law or policy of government is as good as its implementation. There's a maxim that law is made for men, not men for law. And the same can also be said of policies and programs of government. It is crystal clear that the implementation of the Naira redesign has been flawed, and it has led to, avoidable hardship and pains. It has brought about pains for Nigerians. And so, regardless of the good intention of the policy, it has been implemented in a way that leaves so much to be desired. And so it's not being implemented in a manner that has brought peace, that has brought joy to Nigerians. Rather, it has eroded their peace, it has eroded their comfort. And I think that the Central Bank of Nigeria should have a review of its implementation. Some of the steps the CBN has created have actually created, avoidable bottlenecks. And one would have ordinarily expected that being an agency of government that has all the data at its disposal, it needs not be told that some of the approaches to its implementation will rather create a problem. If you are traveling on a super highway, the beauty and the functionality of that highway is that there are no obstructions on the highway. even if you have 8 lanes that leads from point A to point B, the moment there's an obstruction on that lane, the purpose and the essence of that superhighway is defeated, and travelers and motorists will suffer the same fate as that of passengers on a single lane. And that's what exactly we're saying now. You cannot take out over 2 trillion out of an economy, and then you are injecting either 300 or 400 or 500, whichever one the excuse is. You already have a shortfall. And that
so we've discussed that, Honorable. You're right. And what we're most concerned about, especially from you, sir, is how it's affecting people in your state. What have you heard so far? How is it going in your state?
Well, my state has not also been spared of the hardship. As I speak to you this morning, I've taken time to carry out like an environmental scanning of the impact of it. I do that on my own voluntarily, not as a lawmaker, but as a citizen, as someone who has expertise in finance and economy, for me to have first-hand assessment of what the situation is. And I tell you that it is not different from what it was. It has been the same old story in the last 3 weeks that it has started. As I speak to you, some banks are open to business, some are not open to business, some are open and unable to service their customers. You see crowds, in fact, most of the ATMs have become dysfunctional, because if you are injecting 200 naira notes, we must not also forget that ATMs in Nigeria had been calibrated to actually process and dispense 1,000 naira notes and 500 naira notes. So if you are reintroducing or you are rejecting 200 naira bills into this, some things will happen. Number one is either the bank starts recalibrating the items to be able to absorb and process 200 naira notes, which we are, and don't also forget that most of these old 200 naira notes are actually so old, and they are not even going to be suitable for ATM use. And so if we have a policy like because of implementation, we expect Nigerians to go to the ATMs, and the notes that will serve them at the ATM is not there. Now we have introduced a denomination that will mean that we want more traffic in the banking hall. The banks don't even have sufficient amount of this 200 notes. So I see the CBN working at cross purposes, working against its own policy, and it's part of the duty of the central bank is that it must develop policies that would, of course, assist the financial sector and monetary sector, monetary policy. So if we look at what we see in Nigeria today, it's just a very pathetic situation.
Let me get in one question for you before I leave. Go ahead, ma'am.
Sir, I would just like to know, like, specifically, what are your constituents telling you now? I cannot even imagine the calls you'll be getting or the visits you'll be getting, and what are the responses you're able to give them, especially, like, what are you discussing with your colleagues, at the House of Reps, and what is the message you're getting from that level to your constituents concerning this policy?
The feedback from our people is negative and is expected. Number two is that we're beginning to see a trend where, some politicians are beginning to weaponize this as part of strategies to dissuade the mind of voters as to whosoever they would have wanted to vote. And again, is the fact that we must understand that the policy that we have come up with, if the essence of every policy and law is for Nigerians and not Nigerians for those laws, I see no reason why this review should not be properly done. Enough of cosmetic review of this implementation. Some of the CBN have been speaking times without number. I also went through the literature. I realized that when this policy was implemented in India, within the space of few months, about 57, the Central Bank of India reissued statements repeatedly about 57 times, trying to adjust. CBN had access to some of these facts and data part implementation. They should have leverage on the risk and the fallout of the Indian experience to give us the policy that's implemented. Let me say this.
I've been on this show before, and I postulated, and I said this, going by facts that's available, if not less than 97% of bank holders in Nigeria have account balance of 500,000 and below, going by NDIC statistics, it simply means that if the central bank wants to be true to itself, if all you can afford to inject in the economy is that it's possible for an average person to go to his ATM and withdraw 20,000 naira and leave, you will succeed in bringing down this pressure considerably within a specific period of time. But what do we see today? ATMs withdrawal limit pegged at 1,000, and somebody will have to use 1,500 naira to get himself there. Is CBN even mindful of the manpower, the man-hour that is lost in terms of productivity? Recession is inevitable as we speak. The productivity of Nigeria has dropped. The contribution of trading to GDP will drop. There is no rocket science about this. The informal sector jobs will be lost. Even in India, they lost about 1.5 million jobs within the space of the time it was implemented. You can imagine the number of jobs that will be lost in Nigeria. If you quantify the number of hours that our people spend on ATM per day, you multiply that per month, you would eventually lose billions of naira for a crazy implementation. So for me, it is not about the goodness of the policy, which is not in doubt, but the implementation has actually portrayed that there's more to its implementation than it should be.
Thank you very much, Honorable.
Able to draw 20,000, 50,000 naira, I tell you, you will take care of the needs of the bank account owners that are not less than 70 to 80%.
Exactly.
And this will be all out of this mess.
Thank you very much, Honorable. I have to let you go at this point, but thank you very much. I think he's made his point very clear that any policy is as good as its implementation, and exactly what this is. Thanks for staying with us. Join us on the phone right now is Honorable Ibrahim Isiaka, member, House of Representative, Ifeko-Ewekoro, Federal Constituency of Ogun State. Welcome to the show, sir.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Good morning to everyone in the studio.
So as a federal lawmaker, we're quite concerned that your efforts in trying to get the CBN to answer to this new policy and see what they can do to reverse it was unfortunately not adhered to. Could you tell us what went wrong and what do you think as a lawmaker you can do to ensure this never happens again?
Well, once again, good morning, and I want to thank everyone out there, especially the press, the media, for being so supportive to the masses in the country. Ordinarily, I suppose not say anything, but I'll just give an input because of what is happening in my own federal constituency, Ifo-Ewekoro Federal Constituency. You see, as the House of Representatives, under the leadership of the Speaker, Femi Gbajabiamila, a high-powered committee, special committee was set up, it's led by Honorable Dogowa, with some other eminent legislators, to see how well they can midwife the situation on ground. But unfortunately, as far as I'm concerned, all the efforts made so far is not yielding any results. It's going from bad to worse, so precarious. Just in the entire of the Ewekoro local government, there is only one bank, which is GT Bank. And this GT Bank is situated right in front of WAPO, that's West African Portland Cement Company. So, which means what we are saying now is that from Abeokuta until you get to Ifo, where we have the boundary, only one bank is serving the entire people of Ewekoro local government. And this policy that is in place now, the pressure on that bank. In fact, the bank is doing more of a kind of maybe outpost. I don't know how they normally call them. Maybe cash office. They are not able to cope. And once you get to the boundary of Ifo Atarigbaju, and then you are crossing the entire stretch from Ifo till you get to Songo, there is only one bank, which is Wema Bank. And then look at the population from, you take it, let's talk about Ibogun. Let's talk about Koka. Let's talk about people that are in the Lepa side. These are more or less cosmopolitan areas. The people from Shore or Shoshun, where you even have farmers, and you have a major, very big market, in Ifo Township. So that's everybody would have to cope with the only Wema bank that is in Ifo. That's Ifo 1, Ifo 2, Koka, Ibogun, Ishore, and Oshoso. In that axis. Now, until you now move eastward, that's at the boundary between Ojodu, where my federal constituency I have my boundary, and that's acute area. You have Access Bank and Zenith Bank. That's all. Now look at the size of that area as well. So this is what we have to grapple with. This is what we have to cope with. Yesterday alone, the KBAs and myself and the House of Assembly members, the Speaker, we had to now be going around persuading everybody, calming frayed nerves. Upon even the demonstration, everybody had to be, in fact, the KBAs had to wear some box shorts and left side, trying to support the youth. If you go to Abeokuta as I speak right now, because all the banks at Okelewo up to UBA, I pray that people that are persuading them, they're able to calm them. It is very, very bad.
Do you think...
Anybody, go ahead. Yeah, I mean, it must be so bad, especially as we hear right now that there's protests going on in Shagamu, and I don't know, I know that that's not your constituency, but it's your state, and I was just wondering...
No, I heard that too. Like I said, passing through Abeokuta this morning, I'm praying to God. And, you know, because the governor of the state, Prince Akwabiodun, all the effort has been put in on so far. But let's not forget that no matter how good one is, the masses, what they are looking for is what they are looking for. The governor is not going to go and print money and start distributing to the people.
Exactly.
So that is the leverage of his goodwill in Ogun State that we are still enjoying till now.
So, sir, how do you think this cash crunch will affect the coming elections, especially on Saturday? What do you envisage?
My dearest sister, permit me to say I'm not even thinking or talking about the election. I'm thinking and talking about how ordinary people at least will have access to their money, how ordinary people on the street will eat, how people will stop doing trade by barter in this century of ours.
Just a moment, sir. Since we are talking about ordinary people, you said you were going around the state with the Oba to, to calm frayed nerves. How exactly did that happen? Did people beg? Was it that bad that people started asking, hoping you were going to give them money or food? What exactly did you do?
See, if I have in my pocket, I'll start distributing. I have no access to it as well. But you need to just beg one way or the other, maybe with whatever they do things, and even your goodwill. It is only the goodwill we are enjoying among the restive youths. And don't forget, things like this, when they are primed up, that's where you see all of them are reasonable, but that's where you see some people trying to come in and illustrate what the good intentions of many of these are good youths are. So that's what we're just trying to avoid.
Okay, that's all we can take on this issue. Thank you so much, Honorable Isaka, for joining us this morning on such a short notice. Yes. I mean, I don't even know how to wrap up on this, but the truth is that it's hard out there. And I hope God and Efemi and our presidents, wherever they are, see how difficult it is. And whatever the Supreme Court says on Wednesday, I hope that they would comply as law-abiding citizens.